So in terms of goalkeepers, who have you got in net? Let me know down below. And we're going to go through which ones are the best. Should you use a certain type? There's obviously playstyle pluses this year, and I must admit, there's kind of not really any reason to upgrade your keeper once you've got one of the best ones in there. Now the question is, basically, we're going to go with the first two that personally for me are just not worthy really to go in there. And it's purely down to a height perspective. There's been lots of conspiracies when it comes to keepers on height, its speed, is it just overall stats, overall upgrade of a level, and to be honest, I've still not found any correlation to why a keeper is truly good. The only thing we do know is, if they are on the shorter side, they're in the 5 foot, more than likely, especially with the finesse shot, they are getting lobbed left, right and centre. We saw it massively with Walker, was it 2 years ago now? And it's stuck in my head ever since. Campos has always been the same. And to be honest, most female keepers are very similar as well. There might be the odd few that are over 6 foot, but realistically, are they going up against a 6'4", 6'6" goalkeeper? I would much prefer them, and that is the biggest correlation I have found, more so than any other. I used to think it could have been speed. The Team of the Year goalkeeper definitely helped this, but that was then because he was max upgraded. He was pretty much the best keeper you could get, bar from maybe a couple of icons. We then looked at the likes of Van der Sar. Van der Sar in general hasn't got the greatest speed on the game. Like, we look at him, he's got 40. There's no reason for him to be absolutely incredible anyway. And when you look at the price of keepers nowadays, if we go to the top price, you got Buffon at 619. Obviously, he's a brand new keeper. I think that is purely down to the nostalgic value of him. And he is a good keeper, don't get me wrong. But then you've also got Van der Sar coming in at 605, Yashin at 480, and then obviously the normal Van der Sar, the base version, coming in at 395 as well. So already the icons are higher priced than any of the gold or special keepers, because naturally the supply is just not as crazy, which is to be expected. And then we kind of look at some of the gold goalkeepers, and to be fair, I've seen a few of them. I think some are quite usable. Personally, at this point, I'd probably miss out on Edison, but I do like him as a keeper, so we'll keep him in the usable slightly. But it comes to me mainly because he's got the playstyle plus wrong, in my opinion. The long ball pass is a phenomenal playstyle plus, just not at the keeper. I very rarely ever think to myself, the goalkeeper would do really well with that. At the start of the game, that was 100% true, because that first time long through ball from the goalkeeper was unreal. Now they've obviously changed it, so it is less accurate, which is natural. You always get tune-ins in the game, and things become less meta as such. Like we've seen with Virgil van Dijk's heading in the box. It's pretty much non-existent now. So it's not as if this was always going to be a feature forever, and you kind of knew that from the get-go. But then we have a few of the other playstyle pluses with goalkeepers. And if we was to look at some of them, say we go into Courtois here, when you look at the playstyle pluses, you've obviously got far throw, which is useful in some aspects. I personally don't use it. You've got footwork. Again, I don't personally use that one. I don't think it's necessarily my favourite. You've got cross claimer, I can get behind. Rush out, which is definitely my personal favourite. Far reach, again, has its own benefits. And then deflector, again, has some benefits, but for me, it's mainly the rush out that seems to be the biggest one. And that's not necessarily saying that all of the rest are completely inferior to it. It's the fact that my defending, if they go a ball over the top and maybe it's kind of like a 50-50, I know I've got better chance for Courtois to run out of it than anybody else. And for me, that's the reason why Courtois is absolutely in that top meta without a question. We've seen him in the competitions, obviously with the FC Pro, the draft teams. I believe, I want to say it was 5 players had the track star Courtois in there. That was the same as kind of everybody having the Virgil. You kind of know what you're getting with him. And obviously they have got an 8 million budget for the team. So if they could lap up a little bit less of a price, getting a solid goalkeeper in, but they could choose anyone. They could go Donnarumma, Howard, Mignan. They could even go a cheaper icon. They could go with a Casillas or a Czech. So the fact that they have gone with that Courtois does speak a lot of volume, and to be honest, he's been my goalkeeper since we got him. We got the gold very early on, and then the track star has just been wonderful. Naturally, the Team of the Year keeper normally trumps everybody, so once we do get into that, that will be a very interesting one nonetheless. less. We can obviously look at a few of the others. Obviously, you've got the likes of Kobel. I think is a stunning card that you can get. Obviously, with him, he's coming in at a little bit higher rating thanks to his Ultimate Succession card. And he's now 89 rated with the rush out as well. And the good thing with him is, he is 6'5" also. So for me, I'd absolutely put him in usable. We obviously have Alisson, another fantastic one, I think, in terms of stats. Just trumps Ederson this year, that little bit. We do then have a bit of Donnarumma. This year has been good. I wouldn't necessarily say he's been absolutely fantastic. Over the years, it was mainly the team of the year that we got, or team of the season eventually, that really stood out for this card. But this year, he's definitely there. But the problem is Ligue 1 isn't. The biggest problem ever is either you've got to link in with Italians or icons, because there is very few Ligue 1 players that you're going to get on a consistent basis without having like the best team. Like, of course, you've still got a Ginola, you've still got Marquinhos in there. Dembele is obviously going to be a big shout, but you can obviously link them with French players. So the fact that if Donnarumma was French, it'd be so much easier. It's obviously just a quick link that you could get there. But the fact that he is Italian in Ligue 1, I don't think there's as many people going for that purely on the link basis. So for me, I think he's usable, but in terms of the overall scheme of him, he's not necessarily going to be the best goalkeeper there, unless we get to the point where you've got a crazy amount of icons that link him, which even then, I'd probably say, just go with Courtois. So much easier. Plenty of players, Mbappe, Vinny, the brand new Bellingham that we've got, then the likes of Arejo, Kounde as the midfield, not even forgetting Valverde, Yamal that's going to get a crazy card as well, and even Endrick at some point will get a big upgrade. So there is so much easier linkage with that also. We do have a few of the icons. For me, personally, Van der Sar will always be on top. I think Buffon is incredible. I think Yashin is definitely up there. I'd probably go for the 91 Buffon being in the top meta. I've used the 87. I think he's good enough, but I would like to think that the 91 is that slightly bit better just from a bit of stat upgrade. It's not necessarily a massive upgrade for him, but in terms of a 4 overall, it is going to make a slight difference. And I think with the 87, I don't know what they did to him, but he definitely doesn't feel the top of the top. I think Courtois most definitely does for me. When we look at the rest of the icons, to be honest, we've used them all and they all are pretty sound. They're all fantastically usable. All of them have got their own little quirks. Schmeichel was probably the only one that I was slightly disappointed in. We got him from our very first icon pick, and we just knew that we had to give him a go at a minimum, because sometimes they can surprise you. When it comes to Schmeichel, last year I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. We managed to get his upgraded card, the 97. We used it for a little bit. We even used a base version for I'd probably say about a week, and he just was okay. This year was the exact same. His far throw just really doesn't suit my style. And obviously then we look at the Casillas. He was a big part of last year. We used him quite a lot, to be fair, and I think it was. We got the base one from our very first upgrade, and then we got the Thunderstruck from the time that they first came into packs, and then eventually the 96, but we didn't really get too much attached to him because there was already so many keepers. But the big thing for Casillas was personally the footwork. I mean, it's okay, but I just personally prefer him just to rush out for the ball. When it comes to the footwork of him, it's only okay in my opinion. There's not really a massive need. Whereas we've got the cross claimer and we've got obviously the deflector for Czech. They both did relatively well. There's nothing too crazy to kind of report back on. We do have a bit of Dudek, who's not had an upgrade with his hero as of yet. To be honest, at this point, you could still use him. I think he's one of them cheap keepers that you could just put in. He's 6 foot, 6'1", so he's not necessarily my cup of tea in terms of height. I do like a 6'5", 6'6" keeper if I can get away with it, unless there's like a crazy keeper. Say Ederson manages to get himself a team of the year, then obviously we're going to use the Ederson still. And more than likely that it could end up with double playstyle pluses. That's the interesting part at this point, because this is why I'm doing it now. Apparently winter wildcards are coming with a double playstyle plus, which was in team of the year last year. So if we do get that, now goalkeepers have got a playstyle plus. Does it mean they get 2? That's kind of the big thing that I'm waiting to see. So we'll do a whole list on that if they do manage to get them, and obviously we'll wait for quite a few to actually get it. Tim Howard, I think, has had a lovely addition into this game. He's obviously one of the American keepers that you can get. 94,000 for his prime hero, obviously 24 for his bog standard, and he again does have the far throw. Unfortunately for him, that is kind of where it kind of lands for me. He is obviously coming in at 6'3", which is always nice, but I think for me the far throw is just not my personal style. If you can utilize it 100%, then obviously that's going to be a fantastic one for yourselves. For me, I'm just not necessarily the biggest fan of it. I'd much prefer having my kind of back line secured from a little bit of a rush out, and failing that, like a cross claim or something. But now Virgil is kind of dead and buried with that. I'm not too fussed about that one either at this point. So there is very few reason to have it. We then also have Mignan, Martinez, ter Stegen, and also Simon. Obviously, all of them have got some different playstyle pluses. I think Martinez has got the best one out of them, obviously. He's a solid keeper. I mean, he's kind of one of them keepers. We got it last year as well during the... Was it the Team of the Year Honourables or something Team of the Year related? It was kind of like the pre-build-up. It was in the... What was it? The History Mystery one or something. The objective there. I think it was the New Year edition. Fantastic card, most definitely. Obviously, the rush out. 6'5" as well. Really doesn't look it. I mean, we know EAFC or FIFA in general have sometimes fudged the numbers a little bit, but he really doesn't look 6'5", and maybe that's just because I'm seeing him crouched down in net all the time, but he really doesn't look that. So for me, I think he could get away with one or the other. I think judging from everybody else, I'm gonna go with the very usable for him. I think with being 6'5", the rush out, he's my perfect keeper, and I think he was free, was he? It was an objective you could have got him for, so it's an easy win-win in my opinion for that. And then we've obviously got the rest of them. Personally for Mignan, I think he's very usable. Ter Stegen is very close to a miss. He has just hit an absolute downward trajectory. I don't know why he just feels so bad in net anymore. It literally is very close to being miss at this point. And then we also have Simon as well. He's obviously got the same as the footwork. It's not necessarily my cup of tea. I think personally for me, it's kind of, again, very close to that unusable kind of stand. You can put most of these keepers into the net and maybe 1, 2, 3 games out of 10 they do really well. You could have some keepers that you just have an unbelievable streak. They save everything. The person who's attacking doesn't quite manipulate the keeper as well as he could do, and it just works for you. So let me know down below what keeper you're using today. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll come back with double playstyle pluses if they do come on the goalkeepers. Peace.